from having the diagnosis of the visual impairment to being told that you won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that, you will never be able to drive, you won't be able to have like a normal job, you can't do this and that. I think it really sort of like a fight or flight kind of situation, where it's like, am I either going to accept this reality or am I going to define it myself? So I guess for me, I took the route of fight. If someone tells me I'm not going to do something, I'm going to try and do it.
Welcome to the podcast, Unseen Hero. And I thought I'd bring you along purely because the unseen hero is in respect to you. You work so hard, yet people can only see the glamorous lifestyles because of the current lifestyles we live in ourselves. We're surrounded by platforms and social media platforms that encourage us to share the best bits in life, but don't really talk about the struggles and the hardships that follow, or even things that we do prior to get to those sorts of rewarding points in our lives as well. And I have had the pleasure of being able to be with you in the very beginning, and even from all the way from our time in school, in fact, in secondary school, up till now. We've done quite a lot independently and together, doing what we can to make a living, not just for ourselves, but also be able to somehow support others in doing so as well. I've seen your coverage. I've seen all the things on TV. I've seen The Apprentice. I've seen the work that you've done, the articles. I've seen the BBC articles. I've seen your old videos from Holyfield. I've seen them all. And I don't think they give you justice for who you are as a person. You're a hell of an inspiring individual. You identify as being blind legally, but yet I think there is no one I know that has seen much more than you have. So it's...
Thank you.
Yeah, honestly, you have more sight than anyone I've known.
Thank you so much for inviting me onto the podcast. It's a huge honor.
Pleasure.
And I'm really, really looking forward to having this discussion. I think I always, like to say I'm just living my story. I'm just walking my path. And if there's any opportunity to share it, like a platform, I'm more than happy to do that. And like you said, also to try and inspire people along the way, because the story is bigger than just me. It's bigger than my family. It's about egging people on and giving them that fire and that fuel to chase their passions. And I'm really excited to delve into some more topics. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
My absolute pleasure, honestly. There's so many things that we can go into. I mean, as you know, like, this podcast is about highlighting individuals such as yourself and kind of showcasing a bit more of the truth behind the scenes. And I think too often people look upon us and like I said, they see the best bits in life. And yet they still question how it is it's come to be and how it is we became in such positions, or how it is we get to these positions. It's, in our cases, in your case, most certainly, it's nothing to do with the silver spoon or anything of the sorts. You are a true athlete, not just in what you do, but also in your work. You really do put in the hard work. And I also noticed that there was a YouTube video, in fact, I watched of yours. It was cool. Your video was titled Lessons I Learned on The Apprentice About Business. And you mentioned business is like a sport. So I mean, you definitely made the distinction there. You definitely realized the connection. Tell me about it. Like, how did that come to be? And I mean, I would definitely love to know more about The Apprentice as we go on, but tell me how you made that distinction. How did you come about that?
Yeah. So I'm going to connect a couple of points you've raised. Not having that silver spoon in life, and definitely being humbled by my experiences. Being born in Africa and, starting off at essentially the bottom of not just society, but the bottom of the world, where poverty and, not having access to healthcare and, watching family work for like less than $1 a day and all that kind of stuff really gave me an early perspective of what it means to work hard and what it means to just, be a go-getter. And always having an issue with my eyes, but no one really knowing why I'm bumping into lampposts or not able to play football with the rest of the kids. Really, again, allowed me to sort of solidify my personality and have that confidence. And it wasn't until I came to the UK at the age of 5 to immigrate here because of a couple of like political issues, and also, like I said, escaping poverty and trying to build a better life for myself and my family. That I was told that I was diagnosed with a rare eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, which essentially means I've got tunnel vision, so I can't see anything to the left, right, up, or down. And it essentially gets worse until I eventually lose my vision completely one day. At the minute, I'm probably around 20% of vision, and obviously it's ticking down and down and down. So those things really humbled me in life and really gave me an sort of innate driving force to be able to go out there and chase my dreams and chase my passions and transform my life. And the first sort of step that allowed me to do that was through sport. You know, I was really, really passionate about sport in school. I was always the kid that was fastest in sports day. I always wanted to compete. I always wanted to show that I could be better than whatever condition a doctor gave me. And so the lessons and the experiences I learned from my sporting experience, you know, I represented Great Britain on the international platform and won gold in Brazil. You know, the lessons I learned in becoming a gold medalist athlete were the exact same steps, personality traits, attributes that I started seeing in business when I became an entrepreneur and when we started working together. It was all about who you are, you know, being a determined, driven, motivated, goal-oriented individual, but also having a goal and a vision for what you want to create for yourself, but also the daily habits, steps, and things you have to do in order to become the person you see yourself in the future. You know, turning up to the track, to the gym, listening to my coach, having that mentor, and just grinding out every single day with the same steps I saw going into business. You know, having a mentor, having a plan, working at your business, improving your weaknesses, finding what your customers are looking for and delivering that, you know, without making any excuses, without, you know, putting 10% in, you have to put 100% in. And so that's why I made that comparison. You know, being an entrepreneur, being a businessman is exactly like sport, because it's nonstop, you know, it's every day in self-improvement, business improvement, just to try and be the best and be an A-type personality. So that's where that comparison came from. And I think it was definitely brought on from early childhood and the early experience.
That's incredibly inspiring. I think you've had quite a journey to get to where you are. It clearly definitely shows. Probably even worth writing a book about, to be honest. That's
one day.
That's a little bit of a pitch there. Love it. And in regards to that, so thank you for sharing the similarities and how it kind of came to be that it's or the realization came to be that it's a similar field essentially. But what did you want to be growing up? Did you always want to be an athlete? Because there are people that want, you know, they when they're younger, they grow up, or rather they wish they can grow up to be an astronaut. They wish they could be a scientist. They wish they could be able to develop a cure, or they wish to be able to be, I don't know, the first individuals to go cross planetary. Like, there are so many ambitions in this world. I think one of the best things about it. But what was your ambition? What did you want to do growing up?
Yeah. I mean, initially, like some of those points you just raised, I wanted to be everything. I mean, I think being told, like, from having the diagnosis of the visual impairment to being told that you won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that, you will never be able to drive, you won't be able to have like a normal job, you can't do this and that. I think it really sort of like a fight or flight kind of situation, you know, where it's like, am I either going to accept this reality or am I going to define it myself? So I guess for me, I took the route of fight. You know, if someone tells me I'm not going to do something, I'm going to try and do it. So whatever it was in school, you know, I was always very competitive, as I say, whether it was sports day, whether it was you know, science or maths or do you remember mental maths? Do you remember like all those different things we used to do in class? I always wanted to be the best and get the, you know, and it wasn't I guess the day I made that decision was when in year 7, actually, in secondary school, when everybody was choosing what they were going to do for sports day. And I obviously put my hand up and said, I want to do the 100-meter sprint because I've just seen Usain Bolt run in the, you know, London Olympics, and I want to be just like him. because I believe I'm fast and I believe I can achieve something. And the teachers, you know, kind of said, no, I don't think that's a good idea because of health and safety, because you can't see properly. We don't think you're going to do well. And if you trip, we're going to get into so much trouble. And, you know, with your vision, you can't see to the side. So many excuses, like why I shouldn't be able to do 100 meters. And, you know, again, that fight kicked in. You know, I want to do this. I want to prove to myself and to my friends that I'm, you know, the best in the year. And after a couple of back and forth thing, they said, all right, we'll let you run with a teaching assistant who will keep you safe and run beside you, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, okay, cool. That's fair enough trade-off. And so sports day comes along. I'm at the 100-meter start. And as they do, on your marks, get set. The teaching assistant's like, are you ready for this race, big man? I was like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. Stretching my legs. And the go gun goes. And I'm running, keeping focused to the finish line. Halfway through, I look to my left, I see nobody. I look to my right, I see nobody. I look behind me quickly. The teaching assistant was still at the start line.
Oh, no.
And the other competitors were obviously behind me. I was like, okay, cool, I'm in the lead. And I crossed the line. Again, I have time to look behind me, and everyone was just crossing the line. And that's when
fantastic.
I think that was a moment that made me realize that you don't have to accept what other people tell you that you're capable of. If you believe in yourself and believe in your abilities, you can achieve great things. And so that was the moment that not only did I, you know, choose to carry on the route of sport, but also to carry on the route of being a person that proves people wrong and achieves great things. And funnily enough, there's actually a YouTube video of that first ever race where you see me crossing that line. And literally 4 or 5 seconds later, everyone else crossing the line, which I'll be happy to share with you later if you wanted to add that in. But yeah, that was the moment, I think.
Well, thank you. As soon as you share that video is literally going to be this side of me here right now playing. But I honestly think that is fantastic. I actually love that.
Okay.
When you brought that up, about the don't worry about showing it now. It's okay. Whenever at the end of the podcast, I'll edit it in. It's going to be okay.
No problem.
But yeah, no problem. I as soon as you mentioned that you looked back and your assistant was still at the back there waiting, I honestly thought something had gone wrong, or like the gun thing didn't fire or something of the sorts. But that is actually an incredible start to your journey. Wow. So that's amazing. So it was kind of when you had the feel for it then, wasn't it? So you kind of gave it a shot and you realized it literally just kind of resonated with you. It was something that, am I right in saying resonated with you, not just physically, because you definitely had the physical performance to do so, but also mentally? And like, so at that moment onwards, you were 100% sure that was what you wanted to do?
Yeah, 100%. I think that moment was like, okay, not only can I win races, but I also have sort of the determination to do this and to train, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was it. That was the moment, I think. And obviously a lot of people were giving me that positive feedback as well, saying, wow, you were so fast out there, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I think that was the moment I chose my path. And obviously that wasn't the end of the story. That was just the beginning. So subsequently training hard and turning up every day. And I didn't realize what I was signing up for. You know, people just see, you know, Olympians being on the podium and winning their gold medals and thinking, oh, that was easy, I can do that. But actually, you know, 99% of the work you do not see. You only see the last part, which is the race. You know, I think it's ridiculous when you hear the way sprinters train. They train 9 months out of the year through the winter season, aggressively, you know, nonstop, 8-9 hours a day, 5 days a week, just to race 9, 10, 11 seconds, you know? So it's like how much work you put in, civilization does not see. They only see the final product. So that was the other part, really. So that race was the beginning, I think, of the story. But having that self-confidence and determination is the fuel. I think that it's easy to start something, but it's how you push on is something you have to find internally or externally through, you know, whether your family's got a, you know, not the greatest financial situation, or whether you've got a family member who's ill. Having that intrinsic or extrinsic source of fuel to spur you on, I think was the biggest important thing, alongside that kickstart of that sports day.
I think that is actually incredible, and really does nail the. It's the saying, nail a nail on the head. That
Hit the
doesn't
nail
seem
on
to
the
sound right.
Nail the nail.
Nail the nail on the head. I think most people will understand what I'm trying to say, but hey, I'm
Yeah, hit the nail
usually
on the head.
funny with
Yeah.
words. But yeah, I that's exactly the purpose of this podcast, because people like you are the people that everyone sees the end, everyone sees the victory, everyone sees you cross that finish line. But do they see the effort you're putting in during that race? Do they see the effort that you're putting in behind the scenes or prior, or all those times that you've been training endlessly, and the times that you've broken bones or injured muscles? And I can only imagine the stuff that goes behind the scenes. And then to add onto the fact, personal matters, family matters, work matters, in relationship matters, everything, and just life in general. And we're living in a time where it's, I suppose, and more than me, with the political state and the current pandemic. It's a lot. I just thinking about all the things that you've accomplished. It's kind of weird. Maybe it's because I'm an old soul, but I am incredibly in awe of you. Like I'm so impressed, and I am honestly super proud of you. Like, especially to know you as you are literally. We identify as friends, but it's like family. It's
Yeah.
incredible. I can't express that enough. And
100%. And
yeah,
we have been through huge uphill battles, and I think learning each other's strengths and weaknesses was definitely incredible at the height of our, empire.
yeah,
But I think also it's back to what you were saying, it's similar to sport, all that background effort. It's the same lessons we learn in business as well. The product is literally the end result, the tail end of everything that's come before it. And I think what we learned was product development was important, market research was important, testing, in testing your product in the market is important, refining, it's you could go on, when it comes to business, and it's the exact same process. That physical exertion, mental exertion was something I thought, all right, you know what? Because business is different to sport and I don't have to train physically, this is a breeze. It's going to be 50% of what I'm used to. But actually, it's the same, because you're pulling those long nights, sometimes 24 hours, without sleep. It's the same physical exertion. So again, back to that point of, sport is the same as business, and that's exactly what we learn. And seeing each other's strengths and weaknesses and where we were able to take a lead and share tasks and delegate was really incredible. But yeah, I mean, as much as it is, me, I guess in a way, achieving these successes, we also have to pay respect to the people around us. Like, if it wasn't for my parents to bring me here, I'd still be in Africa playing, football in rubber shoes with, with all my friends. I'd still be, walking miles to collect water. And likewise, if it wasn't for my, teachers, who helped me in class, if it wasn't for my coach, who trained me, if it wasn't for my friends who didn't, who went to parties and played Xbox all day and didn't pull me too hard to give up on training, if it wasn't for the people that make the healthy meals for athletes and put them on, shelves, to avoid eating McDonald's. Like, there's so many people and so many elements and so many cogs that move just to create, a diamond. I'm not calling myself a diamond, but I'm saying, like, to get that diamond polished, there's so many different elements, so many different people that come together. So, as much as I can say, yeah, I did it all, it was all me, there's you have to sometimes humble yourself and
yeah.
pay respect to those around you.
Well, you're totally right. And to all those that have played a big part in your life, I'm honestly
Mm.
thankful for, because you're impactful to not just the people on your Instagram, your Facebook, but to anyone that has the privilege of meeting you. And if you're saying that they played a part in building a part of, or this part of who you are, I think all of us would be very thankful too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's lovely, honestly, really, really cool. And
to you as well, I think you came at such an incredible moment where I had such a hunger for business, but it was so difficult to find people that resonated on the same level. I tried starting businesses with other friends who lacked motivation, lacked intelligence, lacked, and this isn't saying they're terrible, but their strengths lie in other things that, just weren't business. I can say the same about cooking. I can say the same about cleaning. I don't have strengths in certain things. So, and I think it's finding the right person and the right partnerships that help you develop something. And I think that's definitely something you came with out the gate. So it was incredible to work with you. And as I say, we couldn't have built what we did without each other. So yeah, it was great.
It's very, very kind of you. Very, very sweet. Thank you so much. I feel like it's either getting very, very hot in here. I'm going to have to take a moment to grab a tissue.
Can't take a compliment. Yeah.
But honestly, just prior to doing the podcast, especially like, of course this is the first episode. So I'm wanting to prepare everything, make sure it's all perfect, but more because of the fact that you're going to be a part of it. And because I care about this, of course I do, but I also care about you. I wanted to make sure this is as good as it can be for you. Mm-hmm. And I was doing research and I was just watching some of your videos and the interviews and some of the Apprentice videos, which is exactly what I would love to move towards now. I'm curious. Tell us, what was it that made you go on the Apprentice? Like, that's a bold move because already now you've transitioned from becoming not just an athlete and a really good one, but also a business-minded individual and a successful business-minded individual too. Now, people say that we cannot focus on more than one thing at a time successfully, but you are one of those people that, proved to differ. And I want to know, what was it that now made you go from doing all the things that you're already doing to doing the Apprentice?
Yeah. No, absolutely. As you say, like when I was, doing my sport and, doing really well at it, this phrase kind of kept, entering my mind, which I think I heard on, is it David Attenborough's one of his nature channels?
Yeah.
And it's not the ones that are strongest or fastest or quickest or whatever that survive. It's the ones that are able to adapt. And I kind of pondered on that for a long time. And when I thought about it in my own unique situation, and I saw older athletes getting injured, losing contracts, starting to lose races, starting to dip in their performance, and looking at that for myself in the future of the sport, it was like, I need to start adapting. I need to start thinking of different ways I can grow and leverage and spread my wings and not be a one-trick pony, because at the end of the day, I am going to retire. A sprinter, retires 30, 35. What am I going to do for the rest of my life? What if I get injured tomorrow? What if the Olympics gets called off? Hello, 2020. So many different factors you can't prepare for. So you have to adapt and you have to cover yourself in areas. And so I thought, all right, what skill set can I develop alongside my sport to help me do this? And one of the things was motivational speaking. I wanted to share my journey with other people, especially young people, young children that are at the beginning of their journeys, that are looking for that positive role models. And I think I looked at social media as like, are these social media influencers really giving, young people the things they need, that motivation, that telling them that they're capable, sharing stories, such as myself coming from Africa and, succeeding in certain areas. I wanted to give that to the world. And so I started a public speaking business where I'd travel the country, speaking to young people, primary school, secondary school, university, and also doing sports events, running mini sports days and doing all these things. And obviously it started growing and I wanted to expand it. And one of the ways I wanted to expand was to hire other athletes, give them not only an income stream, but also to give them extra purpose and, widening their wings as well and giving them sort of responsibility. So that's how I wanted to grow. And I looked around and there's loads of schemes and loads of ways of trying to develop a business, such as a Princess Trust, etc. But I wanted to do it in a big way. I didn't want to just sort of do small things. I wanted to do big things that resonated with other people. And also I started facing discrimination in the world of business because of my disability. I think when it came to handing in invoices and stuff, I'd get comments like, you're visually impaired. Are you sure you can do an invoice? Are you sure you can do this and that? will the kids have to watch out for you? And I'm like, I'm normal, you know what? You don't have to worry about my disability. Like, I can do this. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized other disabled individuals are discriminated in business because of what people think they're capable of. And when I thought about my sport, it used to be the same in sport where people said, "Oh, you're in a wheelchair. You could never be an elite athlete. You're blind. You could never run a straight line in 100 meters." And what came from that was the Paralympics, which is what I obviously compete in. And the Paralympics is a positive demonstration of somebody that may be defined as having a physical impairment, performing at a high, at such an elite international level, beating most of the population and proving them wrong and saying, you know what? I can be an incredible swimmer. I can be an incredible runner. I can have blades and still beat your ass. I can be blind and still run 100 miles an hour. And so this was kind of the solution in sport for disabled people. But when I looked at it in business, there was no such thing. There was no disabled role model in business. There was no schemes and there was no movement for disabled entrepreneurs. And so that's what I wanted to start. And I didn't want to do it in a small way. I wanted to do it in a big way. Looking around, what's the biggest, business show on TV? The Apprentice. And I did my research, and to my shock, in the 15 years of The Apprentice being on air, what's that? 14 candidates a year for 15 years. That's 150, candidates. Not a single one has a disability. And that's just the UK version of The Apprentice. The American one has been going on for 10 years with Donald Trump. How many contestants were in that? Not a single disabled entrepreneur has ever entered that boardroom. And so that was my step into that process. I had confidence. I had a business plan. I knew what I was doing. I already had a company I wanted to grow. And that was my entrance, and convincing the producers I can do it, convincing the business people I could do it, going through the processes, knocking it out the park, being confident in front of the camera, going through the process and just, getting there. And for me, that was the win. People say, oh, you didn't win, you got fired. How'd you feel? And for me, I'd done what I set out to do, which is start a conversation, start a movement, and start inspiring other disabled people. And that's why I purposely used my white cane, on the show to show people that I can't see, but I'm performing against these other sharks. And that's what people need to start seeing, brainwashing society and showing them that people with disabilities can do this. So that was my entrance into it. That was my reasoning. And that essentially is the story. And, like I said, I didn't win, but in my own way, I feel like I started a ripple and I started a wave in a sector of society that is underlooked and discriminated against in the area of business. So that's the story.
I mean, that's incredible. So you went in there, it sounds like you didn't really go in there in hopes to, aspiring to work with Lord Alan Sugar. It wasn't the main intention, although that would have been a fantastic opportunity. It was actually to inspire and to disrupt and to show it's okay to be you. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be someone that just wants to give it a shot, someone that wants to be treated equally. There is no reason why you should be treated otherwise. And that's exactly what you went there to show. And you did an incredible job at it because there was so much coverage of this. And I can actually very easily say, mission accomplished. I think
Thank you.
that was, it sounds strange saying that because I'm a massive James Bond fan, but wow, I honestly almost goosebumps right here, just because you really did do that and you achieved that goal. I saw some of the comments of people in similar situations and how they were inspired by what you did. And some of them were actually disappointed and actually emailed members of staff and within the BBC to see why it is that you were fired, because they didn't believe it, or at least it didn't make sense, because we've all seen the show in some caliber, and it does seem like a lot of the individuals there, I mean, I'm sure there are incredibly smart people that do apply, but it does seem that a lot of individuals are there for the television aspect, personality aspect of things, the characters. Do you find that to be say if someone was to apply to The Apprentice, would you see that's a big thing that they're looking for? Is that what they're trying to pick out for? Are they looking for a character? Is that Is that what it is?
It is twofold because A, it's a primetime TV show, and B, it's a business opportunity. So I think you have to tick more than one box. I've
Hmm.
seen people with incredible personalities but zero aptitude for business, which some of them do make it. And then I've seen people with, grossing 2 million, 5 million plus businesses apply and not get in because they are as dry as paper. And so I think you have to be able to juggle lots of aspects, and that's part of it. So I don't think it's one or the other, but they do have to entertain the public, and they do have to have that aspect of, engaging people and having drama and having scenes, but also, trying to win money to have a startup. So I think it's all of it. And I think, yeah, like you said, some of the individuals were very sort of big personalities and did want to, I guess, have more of a TV career than a business career. And for me, I didn't want to jeopardize my character. I think I could have been ruthless, but I think because of the community I was representing, because of the reason I was in there, I didn't need to do that. I didn't need to be an a-hole. I didn't have to do that. I've achieved my goal by literally just being here on the first episode with my white cane. So that was it. I could have been ruthless and got further, but that would go against my morals, my personality, and my my goals. So that was it.
It's funny how you say you could have gone further. I was watching an episode. I think. Do you remember when we went to? You invited me to your place in your home cinema, and we watched the episode live with some friends. And
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you ate something you shouldn't have eaten in that bus, and I think you know exactly what I'm referring to.
told you not to mention that. Yeah, no, I mean that's what I mean. Like, I wanted to bring a fun personality to the screen. I didn't want to be just some angry man. And there's an opportunity where we were in the nature reserve in South Africa, and the representative was showing us how do you track antelope. Or I think it was Springbok, and he was saying you have to pick up the poo, and you have to taste the poo, and you have to decide how long this poo has been here, so you know which direction and all the blah 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 blah. And I thought, here's an opportunity for me to just show a bit of personality and in a fun way. Disgusting, yes, I admit. And yeah. So if he's done it and he's still living, I'm sure I'll still live after this too. So I put it in my mouth and I
If it doesn't kill you,
it was
so
a
you're gonna
highlight
do
that's
it.
seen by
Wow.
millions. But exactly.
Wow. I mean, I didn't expect
Yeah.
that.
So
That was it's fantastic because I love how you stride for difference. I'm quite similar. I like doing things that people don't expect me to do, and I like doing things that just don't seem natural. Doesn't mean I'm gonna like start doing things absolutely absurd and I don't know, walk with my hands and stuff like that. I just mean that we like to challenge the status quo, and yeah.
100%. Something as simple as changing, a phone, because I think what I've seen with you is like you always just like to experience different flavors and different colors and different technologies and different versions of everything. You've transitioned from a 3-year dedication to iPhone to Samsung. I think 90% of the world has decided which side of the fence they're on, but because you want to have that different mindset, what's it like to use a Samsung? So you completely change, you ditch iMessage. So
I was
that's like an
inspired by
example of how you,
yeah,
how
I
you've
remember
done
when we
that
were
as well.
like we went for a walk and you pulled out your phone and you had the latest Samsung.
Someone's at front door.
Oh, that's embarrassing. You had the latest Samsung Galaxy, and you were I think we were taking photos of the river. It was just a lovely day, and I was taking my photos and I couldn't see like further than 10, 15 meters without it getting kind of pixelated. And I always have the most like latest phones. So that was quite embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
And you had a Samsung Galaxy and the camera on that was phenomenal. And then from then I literally made the order the next day and got myself a Samsung Galaxy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a fantastic phone. So I have you to thank for that. I mean, I might be a tech guy, but you're the inspiration. Like you
think different, right? By Steve Jobs. And the way you can start to think different is to have a different environment, have different ways of using things, adapting your your workflow, doing so many different things, changing your diet, doing different exercises, so many things, hacking your sleep. There's so many things you can do to improve yourself and be better and do better. And unfortunately, that's what I try to inspire a lot of young people, because I think when they start to see how the world is, they can slowly start to accept how things are and accepting the status quo. But it's pushing them and saying, you are an individual that has a possibility to change the world. And I use him as an example, as controversial as he is. Donald Trump went from being a businessman to the president of the biggest, the most influential country in the world. And as I say, as divided and whatever, you can go into all that. He's done that, despite everybody saying, no, he can't. And so that's what I try to, I don't use him as an example, but I say, like, you can do that. You can change the world, but start changing yourself and changing your environment first, which is very, very key.
That's incredible. I think that's and I think that's a big thing. I think many seem to be under the perception that we try this one thing, it works first time, but your evidence, and as you just now said, is that you have to try so many things until you actually learn how to get it right, or until you experience a form of success. And then you can choose to take things further, or you can kind of diversify your portfolio and work on those other successes that might be kind of contributing to your overall success. But yeah, there's like two ways to it, in fact, because for those of you that don't know Souleyman, which I think is very, very few of you, because he's massive out there, but he does so many different things. It's not just about the fact that he's an athlete, or the fact that he's appeared on The Apprentice, or the fact that he went on, dare I say it, the Undateables. Again, another fascinating show, another incredible impact that you've had. Some good takes from that video, actually, that episode. But he's also I kind of lost my train of thinking here, but you've just done so much, it's just hard to follow track here.
I think just talking about Undateables a little bit. It's fun, and when I was doing it, I thought, this is the worst thing ever. Why would I put myself through this? But looking back, I think I did a lot more than I thought I did. It was an opportunity that came to me. At first, I said, hell no. But then thinking about it, talking to my coaches, saying this might be good for publicity. You might get sponsorships out of this for your sport. None of that came. Well, the publicity came, but the sponsorships didn't. But what I realized I did was, after the messages I started receiving, was, again, inspiring people, because there's such an underground of people that are, suffering or have no hope in the world of love. And that's what this show is. As controversial as the title is, it's picking people in society that feel like they can't achieve love because, again, of a disability. No one will love them for who they are. No one will want them for who they are, whatever it is. And this show, takes one of these individuals and gets them a date and finds them love and gets them walking into the sunset. And looking back at my involvement in that show, I think that's kind of the impact I had in the world of, because I came on as a visually impaired person who can't see people properly. Therefore, he doesn't know whether he likes them or not. Therefore, it's difficult to date. Therefore, it's difficult to use apps like Tinder and all that kind of stuff. So, tackling these issues and going on there and saying, you know what, I can get a date and I can be happy, was just, a prime example of that. So, some people say, were you embarrassed? At first I would have said, yeah, but now I'm just like, nah, man, I'm more than happy and proud to have been on there to represent, people, and say, yeah, you can find love, you can do it. Don't let society tell you you're an undateable, because you are.
That is a beautiful thing to say. And kind of in line with this, actually, I would love to know, especially coming from a quite a strict background, and also from, so not just from a cultural based, sort of a strict cultural based family, but also from Islam. Now, I also was born and raised a Muslim too, in all full disclosure. I know how this can be perceived. Not everyone is the same, and modern days are much different. It's just everyone has different interpretations of it. I would love to know how the family thought about you going on the Undateables.
This is so funny.
I'm already laughing.
Do I say it in the accent or not? But this is how the conversation
Go ahead.
went. Mommy, I have an opportunity to go on a TV show. What is this TV show? It is a TV show to help me with my sports. Okay, what will you have to do? I will have to run and then talk to a girl at the end. Okay. And I want you to be on it. Sorry about the accent, but just signed his papers. So that was the conversation. I didn't tell them what it was until it came out, and that was embarrassing. But I tried to explain it to them as subtly as I could. But I think no, I did say, listen, it's a dating show, but it's not serious, etc., etc. And they said, yeah, well, that's fine. Just don't embarrass us. So that was it. And I don't think I did. A lot of people were inspired. You know, there were one or two people that were like, if you wanted a wife, just come to me, you know. But
well, are these family back at home?
And so I don't know why I'm doing those accents. No, locally.
Oh,
we have a daughter you can have.
Oh my good.
Hopefully the listeners are laughing. But yeah, so that was kind of
oh my
people are willing to
god,
dish out their daughters.
it's so
yeah, so
funny,
that was it. It was
like I'm just glad to hear you're alive and well. That's what I'm most happy to hear, because those conversations could have gone either way. But wow,
I'm here with like a patch on my eye. No, I'm joking. No, my family are very loving and supportive. They've been very supportive in my sport and everything I've done. And I think that was kind of like a bump in the road, but you know, it dusted very quickly. But I think that's another lesson, like not allowing yourself to be trapped or enclosed in a certain way of thinking, a certain culture, you know, a certain methodology, you know, that fighting back and changing and changing, you know, the status quo. I think with our culture, there are traditions of arranged marriages and all these long held, complicated views that don't really fit in the culture we've grown up in the UK. And I think, again, that's another aspect of questioning tradition. So that's another big fight that we're doing. But you know, I think it takes a lot of bravery, right? It takes a lot of gusto to do that. So yeah, that's fun. Thanks for bringing Undateables up.
You know what? Yeah. It's some people might take this as a something you shy away, you hide under lock and key, but I think that was actually another golden moment for you. I mean, not many people. I don't think I would have had the courage to have done what you did, and it was something it was just so natural, and it was so soulful. Like, and this is Souleyman I'm speaking to, no pun intended. But it's honestly, it was from the heart and to a heart. It was just so real. And I just love actually how The Undateables is actually one of my most appreciated shows. I think that the world is a better place with it out. I think it's of course it's put out there for entertainment, but it's also incredibly inspiring. And I think you made a very, very brave move doing that. And I don't think anyone has the right to say otherwise. And I don't think they do. But yeah, that's honestly incredible. And you know, you're so right with families, and especially you mentioned, like, I believe you came to the UK age 5. So that's incredible. So that means that, you know, your family are, so to speak, because we're in our 20s, our early 20s. But I was going to say they've not had too much time here to kind of adjust to how everyone else is in the society. But I guess in this society, we're very privileged to be able to ask why. When question things, we don't have to, you know, follow traditions to the extent where you are told something and that thing is now obtained and is yours. We actually have another safety net, another barrier to kind of question things to make sure it's right for you, and if it's a part of your identity. And I guess it's inspiring. It's quite incredible. And I've met your family. They're incredible. They're really nice, especially your younger siblings. They're my favorite. But
lively.
They are. And I honestly think that's actually awesome. Very courageous. And can I just ask, if someone wanted to do something as courageous like that, say they were aspiring to get into a show such as this, or they're working towards jumping on to a show such as The Apprentice, or they see an opportunity present themselves, but they don't feel they're worthy of such an opportunity, what would you say to them to get them across the finishing line? Because you've had those opportunities now a few times.
Yeah, I think it's I guess it's knowing what's right for you and then seizing opportunities. I think sometimes the biggest question you can ask yourself in life is, why am I here and what am I supposed to do? I think as soon as you answer that question, everything can come very, very easily and very quickly. But I think for me, being lucky and blessed to be able to have answered that question early on, and my personal answer to that question is, I'm here to overcome my disabilities, overcome all the racial, religious, being an immigrant, being Black, having a disability, all these things, coming from a working class background, being told, going to university is going to be impossible, whatever, just whatever discriminations or barriers society has put up for me, saying no to those and achieving success despite it. And that's my purpose. And so from that, taking the skills that, God's given me, or the skills that I've developed over the years, running, motivational speaking, business aptitude, and being relatable on screen, taking those skills and demonstrating it to others. And I think, if I had to answer that question for somebody else, I'd say, answer the question of, what are you here to do? What are you here to achieve? Not the specific thing, but the overarching theme. As I said, for me, it's about conquering discrimination and succeeding despite it. Yours could be, I don't know, making money because you've come from a poor background, or, inspiring other people that also have certain health conditions, or it might be empowering women, or it might be, empowering the race that the ethnic background that you come from. So, answering that question, and then moving forward to finding opportunities and platforms that will help to do that. I have a friend who's a female, who's gone through a lot of things, and now they also go into schools to speak to young females, and they have, YouTube channels, etc., like talking about that. So, finding your purpose, finding platforms to do so, developing your skills, making connections, network with similar like-minded people, get yourself in a good place with good habits, good morning routines, reading positive books, influencing yourself with positive information, and just have a go-getter mindset, having goals and key performance indicators, and chug along, man, chug along.
I like that. Kind of see, not only going ahead with these opportunities that do present themselves and giving them a good shot, but just pushing forward and just not looking back, keep on going, right? One step at a time. That's really, really nice.
Yeah.
And into specifics then. So we have briefly touched, well, I say briefly, we've discussed your journey in The Apprentice. Now, there are some out there, and I know you mentioned once before as well, you were receiving a lot of direct messages and all of this such of how did you get into The Apprentice? So
sure.
This is fascinating. So there are plenty of entrepreneurs. This is ultimately an entrepreneurial podcast, but like, how does
100%.
one do that? How does one jump in? What was the prep you did, if you will? And like, is there something,
Sure.
did you feel you had to change and adapt to the situation, or did you feel that it was just something built for you?
Let me just get my legal papers so I don't get screwed. I'm joking. I can share. All right. My unique perspective and my story was that out the gates, I was very confident that I was going to get on. I don't know why. I just knew, I just believed. But for someone that wants practical guidance and step-by-steps, it's firstly, like, you have to be passionate about business, because everything that's going to come off the back of The Apprentice is going to be business related. So you're going to project yourself into that circle. So do you have a business that you're running already? Do you have a business idea? Do you have something you want to pursue? Will this funding from Lord Sugar help you? Can you do this in other ways? is this the only way? Because obviously it gives you funding and it gives you a platform as well to talk about who you are and what you're pursuing. So if you've decided, yes, this is the show for me, this is what I want to do, I want to put myself out there, promote myself, promote my business, and have a shot at winning, funding. Cool. You apply online. So I think it's just before Christmas, November, December, January. They have a big marketing campaign. Apply for the Apprentice. Hundreds of thousands of people apply every year. I think in my year there was 70,000 people that applied initially, and obviously being the last, was it 13, 14? Huge. So you're already up. Huge competition. Making your application form stand out, and it has to resonate with you. You have to show a little bit of personality, a little bit of pizzazz, and also some business structure and business mind in that. So for me, it was like, listen, I'm blind, I'm a gold medalist athlete. I have a successful business that I want to grow tenfold with Lord Sugar. Already there's so much on there to pick apart from. Very interesting. They want to know more. Make sure your application is like, oh, I want to know more about this guy. You could be like, I'm a refugee. I, traveled into the country in the back of a truck and I want to sell lemons, in Camden Market, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I want to know more. So make that elevator pitch very, very specific. Once you've done that, they'll obviously shave that 70,000, 100,000 applications down to about 10,000, I think. And then they'll start doing regional days where you go into either the London office or the Manchester office or the Birmingham, whatever, where you go in and they give you a number and they tell you stand in a queue. This is your group for the day. You're going to be going through different rooms and doing different tests. And so, yeah, you arrive, you go in, and the first one is like, you have 1 minute, just say something. This process is where you show personality. A guy walked up and said, hi, my name is David. I run a business that generates 5 million. You were projected to raise some capital, and next year we're projecting 7 million revenue, and I think Lord Sugar will be a great addition. Thank you. 1 minute is up. Next person. This guy was like, hi, I'm Abdul. Yesterday I made my literally. Yeah. Thanks. Next. This guy was like, hi, I'm Abdul. Yesterday, my friend was eating a sandwich. He started choking. I punched this guy in the chest. He coughed the sandwich out. I saved his life. They were smiling. They're like, cool, thank you.
Wow.
And then they tell you to go left or right. No one knows why. If you go left, I think you get kicked out of the building. If you go right, you go up to the next level. Different levels of the building. So that sounds
like a psychological sort of a question, huh? Okay.
Yeah. How do you react under pressure? Can you jump into that personality? As I said, the business guy, 7 million revenue, goes left. Abdul goes right. I see him at the next level. Now,
how does that work? Sorry,
like businessman.
You mentioned the left or right. I'm still trying. Even myself at this minute, I'm trying to work out, what do I do? Do I go left or right? So someone's just done a 1 minute pitch.
No. They tell you. They say, "Thank you, please go left," or "Thank you, please go right."
They tell you which.
We don't know what it means. But from my experience, I've been told to go right all the way up to the top of the building. The people that have been told to go left, I've never seen them again. I don't know if they throw them down the rubbish chute.
No one knows.
But I've never seen them. Yeah, I know. I don't know what happens. Anyway, so yeah, you elevate. You see a business manager. You tell them your plan. If it makes sense, cool. You go up. Some people go left. Some people go right. Whatever. And then you stand in front of a camera, and they ask you questions and how you react in front of the camera. Do you get nervous? And then you go up. So there's different levels. You pass them, and then they say, "All right, thank you. We'll be in touch." If you've been selected for the what do you call it? What I'm looking for, not rundown. Anyway, if you've been selected for the next stage, sure. The next stage is sort of like a mock Apprentice episode. So you're in a group. You got a task. Souleyman, who's doing rubbish in this and who's doing good. They create scenarios where there's tension, there's outbursts, all recorded, all on camera. Directors are watching from another room.
Do you remember what your experience was then? So what was it they put you on? How did they put you under pressure?
As I said, I don't know if I should say too much or maybe.
Are you under a non-disclosure right now?
No. Mine was building furniture, and obviously what was it, 6 men and 1 cabinet. It's made to go wrong.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
obviously, is the team leader doing well? Is he giving you instructions? Da, 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 da,
So this is like
all
a
this
classic sort
kind
of
of
IKEA
stuff. So
scenario, like where you're
yeah,
given a
exactly.
box.
Yeah.
You've obviously not got instructions. 6 people
Yeah,
need to put it together, and it's about how they work together. It's a team test, then, isn't
exactly.
it?
How you
Okay.
work together as a team, how you are as an individual. Do you thrive or do you crumble? A lot of people crumbled. Um, And then there was a moment where me and another teammate started. This is my favorite of all the entire experience of The Apprentice. This is my favorite moment. There's another candidate on there called Ryan Mark, and literally I met him at auditions, and obviously we both got on. But there was this moment where it was so tense, and I was saying, "You were a terrible team leader. You couldn't direct. You were out there playing with your fingers, whatever." And he turned around and he said, "Souleyman, you say you're a motivational speaker, but I didn't hear you speak once." And there was just silence, and I was laughing my head
Oh
off.
gosh.
And then the director was like, "Souleyman, why did that go wrong?" And I was on the spot. I was like, "It went wrong because of him." Da, 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 da. I was like, "Why do you think you were right for this?" I was like, "Oh, I'm right for this because I've shown myself in sport. I've shown myself in my own business. Sorry, I've proved myself in sport, proved myself in my own business. I'm a gold medalist athlete. I know I can do this. Lord Sugar just doesn't know what he's missing out on." And I think that was when I was like, yeah, they were testing me because maybe they've seen something. And so that was it. And then obviously stage after stage after stage. And then you get a phone call to say whether you're in the last 30 or whatever. And then they ask you to submit legal documents. Is your business genuine? Show us your income in the last year. Legal documents to prove that you're supposed to be on TV. Have you been a criminal? All this stuff. And then obviously that last 30 gets shaved to the final 14, and you get the phone call to say you're either hired or fired. And there's some reserves as well of about 3 or 4.
Okay.
So that's the process, from start to finish.
Oh, that's
Very
incredible.
hectic.
Very, and
No
very
sleep.
cutthroat. I feel like
60-page business plan.
honestly, like I don't think
Yeah.
there's, because honestly, that's a very big gray area. There's not much of an understanding. Again, we're all about talking about behind the scenes. There's not much understanding what happens to get to where you are. People will look up to these individuals that have made it onto the show, which honestly, a massive congratulations to. But no one understands how they got there, how much work that was. And as you said, it started off from a massive number, then narrowed down to the final few, essentially, right? And you were tested. And what was incredible is that you were put in a position where there was conflict between you and another member. And it seems as though some would think that it's an immediate reason for dismissal, that they would have kicked you both out, or that would have been it. But it's almost like that was kind of what they were looking for. It was almost as though they wanted to see how you rationalized it, how you had resolve, how you could kind of stand your ground and be firm about the decisions you're making, how confident you were. And that's actually awesome. That's amazing. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, it was a tough process. I mean, I remember the deadline for the biz. I think they were like, if you don't submit your business plan in the next 3 days, you're not getting on the show. So I was there 24 hours. Funnily enough, I used to buy cinema tickets, and I used to just go in the cinema, as crazy as it sounds. I'd write up my business plan because I loved noise and I loved ambience. So I'd just be there. And every time Godzilla would roar, I'd be like, yes.
So you're telling me,
do you know what I mean?
there are people out there that were actually, in an office space or in a room somewhere, locked themselves up, seriously working out on this plan, and you were in a cinema and still able to cook up some quality that still got you into the final few. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they demand. I think they really push you. They ask you to show your wardrobe. If you've got the right business attire, I had to go and buy a ton of stuff from Moss Bros.
Yes.
Like, just so many things. They push you to the point of breaking. They want you to say, do you know what? I quit. I don't want to do the show anymore, even before the show even starts. So, I wonder how many people just dropped out just from the process. It's grueling.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you said that they wanted you to hand in your resignation, essentially fire yourself. And yet, so do you think that was the test then? Do you think that's exactly why they're cutthroat?
Yeah.
They want to get the resilient few. They don't, it's I think, is that what that sounds like what it
Yeah,
is?
but this is, yeah, but this is where, back to we said, knowing what your purpose is, knowing what your reason is, and that feeding the motivation of what you're doing. I could have given up in sport. I could have said this is too difficult. I'd rather just go play PlayStation with my friends, but I didn't, because I stuck to it and I knew my purpose. Same in the Apprentice. I could have given up. I could have said this is too hard. My eyes are hurting. I haven't slept for days. I need to fill out the 60-page business plan. I could literally just go to Nando's, have a meal, watch TV. But no, I knew what my motivation was, so I pushed through. No one was going to sway me to give up. And that's the kind of resilience and confidence you have to even get on the show. Never mind win. So it's very tough.
It's incredible, honestly. Well done for getting into that show. That it is a gruesome process from what I've heard, and it was just incredible to see you go all the way. And just on that, actually, that's just something just kind of come to think about. I know it sounds as though, again, it wasn't your intention to kind of stay throughout the whole show. You came in there for a purpose, and you actually fulfilled that purpose. That was what you wanted. But tell me, how did you cope with being fired on the show? Because I know, for example, there are some individuals that are sensitive individuals, empathic individuals that would find such things incredibly hard to deal with. So where do you find the strength? Where do you find the inner resilience again? Where do you find the integrity to accept that and move on?
It's all from past experience. As I say, sport is like business. When I was an athlete, I didn't win every race, and that was difficult for me. I did throw my tantrums. I did say that wasn't fair. He false started, all that kind of stuff. But then as I developed through sport, I realized, you know what? Some races you win, some you lose. And so having the ability to calm down, there's always another one, all that kind of stuff. So going into the Apprentice, I already knew it was going to be difficult. I already prepared myself psychologically that I might not make it all the way. I've already achieved my goal, and everything is a bonus. We went to South Africa for the first trip. I've never been to South Africa. It was insane. This is enough for me, a free holiday. So being fired, I thought I was going to react negatively, but actually it was a sense of relief. When Lord Sugar said, Souleyman, you're fired, I was like, oh, thank you. Like, do you know what I mean? No more bickering and fighting and saying it was his fault, it was her fault. Oh, you've got 10 seconds left to finish the task. Oh, why did this fail? I can just go home and eat and chill. Thank you. I don't have to win this. Like, it was such a relief. I think, it was a relief for me personally, but I know others kicked off and whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But for me, it was a huge relief. They said, all right, Souleyman, you can either, stay at a hotel and process it, or you can just go straight home. I said, I want to go straight home. They said, okay, is that all you want? I said, actually, I want a 3-course meal from the Indian restaurant, and I want a chicken jalfrezi and peanut rice. The producer looked at me and looked at someone else and was like, okay, if that's what you want, that's fine. The taxi's on its way. It's been delivered to arrive at your house when scheduled.
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it was just like, that was it. I was like, I'm chill, man.
Well, I'm glad you had that.
They were like, we've never done this before. Is this okay, Terry? Is this okay?
What did you order from Chinese? What did you order from the Indian restaurant before I go on to that
chicken vindaloo. Chicken
vindaloo. That's nice. Yeah, man. But I just want to there's something very interesting about that. But you mentioned that it kind of sounds like it's worth noting that this is in front of a camera. So there is a certain element of acting. There's a certain element of setting the scene. And it's almost like they need to sell the story to you just as much as you need to believe that, right? So because it sounds like they're different people all of a sudden. Like now they're offering you an ability to get a free meal, stay at a hotel at your leisure, just to kind of relax for a minute and take it in and take it easy. It sounds like they have an understanding of how difficult the process is, how cutthroat the process is, of course, because they're the architect of it. So that's also, I think, another good takeaway from this, is that if you're someone that finds yourself in those sort of
Yeah,
positions, that yeah,
yeah,
it's just orchestrated on that way. Know that it's okay because it's actually, the scene was set for that reason. Um,
yeah. It's almost like I think it's called Player One, right? It's almost like they strap you into the simulation. They say, all good,
Ready
I say,
Player
okay,
One.
put on
Yeah.
Ready Player One, yeah. And it was like, once you put the goggles on, this is reality, battle, 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 fight, fight, fight. You come out, they're like, glass of water? You know, it's kind of like you're in a simulation. And then when you come out the simulation, you're back to reality and everyone's happy and fine. So, yeah, like you said, it's in front of a camera. So everything has to be a certain type of energy. And then when you come out, everything's a bit more better.
That's a really
Yeah.
important aspect to know. Yeah, that's really, really
Mm.
interesting. Wow. Okay. Let's see now. And just on that topic, as I move on to the next question, would you, after having done The Apprentice, would you recommend it to others willingly, easily?
Um, I think the question answers itself. I think if you genuinely feel like it's the only route to market, um, whether it's for promotional purposes or whether to actually try and win, then go for it. Because then obviously you're certain and you will push through the stages and you will get onto the show. But if you're shaky about that, decision, you think, how will people think of me? Will I come across good on TV? Will Lord Sugar? I don't know. Everyone looks really like scary. Then I'd say don't do it. It's not worth it because the stress and the amount of hard work you're putting just to get on the show. If you put a tenth of that effort in your actual business, you will see results. Those sleepless nights, filling in 60-page applications, going through so many hoops, like trying to get my criminal record, like from the police to show I'm not like so many things, trying to find the funding to pay for suits just to get on the show. Like if you demonstrated the same hustle just to get on the show as you did in your own business, you'll get somewhere. But if you think that it's the only way, it's the only route to market, it's the only way to get your product or service out there, and there's no other way, there's no other charity or angel investor or public fundraising opportunity out there, and this is the only way, then do it. Absolutely, 100%.
That's a very, very good point, because you're right. There are 101 opportunities for people, but again, it's about your independent situation, what it is you're willing to go through, and whether you have the inner resilience, do you have the inner mental strength to be able to go through such a cutthroat process, because it's built for the courageous, really, isn't it? It's built for that type of mentality. I can quite honestly say I don't think I'm an individual that would comfortably be able to do a show like that. Souleyman is a really special build to be able to do such a thing. But yeah, that's very, very insightful. Thank you. A long topic with this. You've done a lot of you've done a lot of motivational talks, speeches. It's part of one of your businesses, in fact, and you do it really, really well. You're not just a mentor to your friends, but a mentor to anyone that comes with questions, bearing questions to you. Were you always an extrovert? I know that sounds off topic, but the thing is that it's interesting, because I remember the days when we were in school in Holyfield. We went to probably disclose too much information here. We went to a school, secondary school, in Holyfield, in Surbiton, and it was in that time. I put myself in a position now. In that time,
specific locations now.
I don't know how to stop.
And my addresses.
Well, but the thing is I knew you then, and although we all had our independent friendship groups and that sort of stuff, because that's what life is then. I don't think we were very much extroverts. We were the type of people that were really stuck into our work. Mine was product design, and yours was media, and we were good at our crafts, but it really does seem like a contrast. So tell me, was that really a contrast? Do you think you were an introvert learning to be an extrovert? Do you think your you're always going to be an introvert, or do you think you're naturally born an extrovert, just waiting to kind of release?
Yeah. I was I think I felt like I was in the uh wrong place kind of thing. I didn't fit it. Not that I didn't fit in. I could easily fit in, but I just didn't feel comfortable.
Mm.
I think because, growing up in Africa and then coming to England, living in Birmingham actually originally, moving down to London, I've seen so many different types of people, cultures, accents, religions. But like when I settled there, I don't know. I could easily be, loud and whatever, but I didn't like the environment. Um, and I kept myself to myself and I did my sport and I did whatever I need to do. But just the environment itself didn't really, I didn't really click, I think, well with the environment in order to be that personality, I think. But I think yeah, as you said, I think I've always been an extrovert, but just I didn't like the environment whatsoever. And as soon as I left it and I was able to gain control of my surroundings and my environments and my group of friends, I just flourished. And I think that's a part of taking control of your life, putting yourself in situations where you do feel comfortable with, the right people around you. We're all born into a family, but we belong to a tribe. Finding the tribe that bring the best out of you. I think that's what I've been able to do and never looked back since. But yeah, primary school, I was the loudest, the naughtiest. Just yes, I love this. Secondary school, I don't know, I don't belong here, And then adulthood, all right, we got our engine running again, So that's kind of been it, really.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's incredible. Because I've noticed that there are a lot of people in the field that are introverts. I was just looking at online and to see that there are so many people asking, what can they do if they're introverts? How can they seek opportunities such as yours, right? Like it's one thing working towards an opportunity, but it's also another thing when your body or yourself is holding back. And there are topics where people say like, or rather ask, is it something that you are, or is it something you can adapt and teach yourself to be otherwise? And it's just quite fascinating. So the way that you say it, it's almost as though in the beginning you had the understanding or the perception rather that you might have been an introvert, and you later realized that is not who you are because you've had the reality of it, and I guess through experience you because of you're right, especially with the fact that we're in one of the busiest cities in the world, London at the time especially, and there is just so much noise, and with all these social media programs that we've been born into, and we somehow need to learn to control. You're right. How do we filter this noise? And so, like you say,
but I think sort of with the demonstration of my journey of going extrovert, introvert, extrovert, I think that's kind of like when I was an extrovert initially as a young child, I had no ability to sit down and think something through and have a plan and reflect whether it's right for me and have that inner peace and inner talk. None of it. If you told me to start a business when I was young, I would just run into a wall and say, is that it? Did it work? You know what I mean? I just no mental capacity. When I became an introvert, that's when I started developing and cultivating the skills of being an introvert. Because what you got to realize is one's not greater than the other. They're that yin yang balance. The introversion is the ability to reflect upon yourself, reflect onto the world, what works, what doesn't, who am I, what am I trying to do, talking to yourself and having that time to reflect. And that's such a powerful thing. And the extroverted, ability is to go out there and just talk to people and shake hands and get it done and, get things into motion. But you can't have one without the other. You can't be go, go, go without a plan, but you can't just have a plan and not go. So that time in secondary school allowed me to go into myself and start going, oh my God, I have a brain, let me use it, And then obviously once I came out of that and became an extrovert again, I could gel the two aspects. And I think for someone that feels like they're either, introverted and just can't shake themselves out to go out into the world and get things done, it's a process. You do it slowly. It took me 6 years to become an introvert, because
wow. So you're actually,
it took me 6 years.
This is a big thing because you're one of the rare individuals that actually it wasn't about from the transition between being an introvert to an extrovert, it was the opposite. And you identified the result being that you can actually understand more about yourself, and you get to really work on your inner workings, essentially, and your inner foundations, really. So that's amazing. And I think that goes to show to anyone that might be identifying as an introvert out there, that you are in fact another necessary, you are a necessary piece to the puzzle. There are two parts of this puzzle, and that is a necessary piece to it. And that's quite a moment, because I think many people think we need to be extroverts in our world. But I think sometimes you're right. We just need to silence ourselves. And
the extroverts just build. The introverts make the structural plans. You can't have one or the other. As much as, I don't know, an example, Mark Zuckerberg might be the introvert. There are people out in the back room coding,
Yeah.
So you need a balance. You need people, you need the thinkers and the doers. But if you can try and do both, it's equally as rewarding. And also, a business isn't a one-man band. Even if you are self-employed, even if you are a sole trader, you need people that make your resources. You need people to deliver to. You need accountants. You need all these people that have different skills. So if you feel like you're lacking in presenting, or you're lacking in being an extrovert, find someone that can come along and help you. You don't have to spend 6 years or tons of money on books and courses to work out. Just find someone that has that skill and collaborate, which is exactly what we did together.
Yeah, it's true. And it was a incredible experience. And I think I'm actually super happy we did that. Massive learning curve. And I think hadn't it been, oh goodness me, I think everyone can now see that low battery symbol on the screen has popped up. That's my
just
camera.
In time.
But I got spare batteries anyway, so I can sort that.
Oh, wicked.
Nearing the end anyway, but thank you. That was also very, very insightful. And here's just another one. This is something I'm sure you've had to deal with all too often, and it seems to be one of the biggest hurdles in the field. No pun intended, once again. But being an athlete, how does one gain sponsorships? I mean, for someone that may be wanting or aspiring to be an athlete, that is a big frame of the business. That's a big fun. That's a big part of it. Yes, there is you working on yourself and you providing an incredible experience to those watching, but it's also a living. So how did you do that? Because that's a very, very difficult thing, and it's also quite an expensive field to be in.
Yeah. This is my biggest problem with my sport, and why I started looking in other ways of making money, because the way it's supposed to be is not how it is. So to perform, to be a great athlete, you've disappeared.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'm just changing the battery.
No, bro. You're still alive.
I'm alive.
All right. And so to perform, to be a great athlete, to be on the podium, you have to develop that. And the way you develop that is to pay a coach to show you what to do, to pay for a gym membership so you can train, and to pay for athletics track membership so you can go and run, to buy shoes, to buy running shoes, to buy sports clothing, to buy healthy, nutritious, high protein, high carb meals, to buy supplements to help you develop your muscles in the most efficient way, to buy electrolytes and all these things to make sure you're hydrated, to go on courses and self-development things, to do all these things, and to enter competitions. They're so expensive just to enter, to pay for hotel and traveling just to get to those competitions. So you have to do all that just to become a great athlete. But the issue is the sponsorship system is working backwards, in the sense that you have to perform before you get sponsorship. So how are you supposed to be a high-achieving, high-performing athlete when you've got nothing to start with? And then just so colorful hair.
Oh my goodness. It's funny. I'm a tech entrepreneur, and yet the only problem I ever face in my life is always tech related. Oh wow.
Oh, it's funny. I mean, should we pause and fix it, or should I just keep talking?
I'll keep the screen on you. Don't worry about it.
Funny. Anyway, yeah, so as I say, it's backwards. They will only sponsor you once you perform, but in order to perform, you need sponsorship. So I was self-funded for the most part. I mean, for most of my career, I turned up to training in £7 Primark pajamas. And if you know
Wow.
what the £7 Primark pajamas are like, do you know what I mean? Like one wash and they start bagging or ripping or creasing, and you get that awkward little cable you tie at the waist, and it's so flimsy. And obviously the shoes to match. I came in all grey. So that was literally because like I said, I come from a working class background. We didn't have money, so it was all self-funded. And my nutrition was big bowls of rice, and glasses of
Ah,
milk. So I had no sponsorships going into it. It was all pure talent, no support. I was lucky in the sense that I'd won a free coaching grant. So that saved, my family a few £1,000s a year. Um, but yeah, so that was it. And for someone that's trying to get sponsorship, I think you're lucky in the sense that the world has changed now, where sponsors are looking on social media. So you don't necessarily have to be the best in the game, but as long as you can have a personality that's marketable, and you can have a social media presence where people come to you for expertise or for demonstrations or whatever, sponsors will be more than happy to do that. There's kids now, 11-year-old, 12-year-olds that get sponsorships just because they have a YouTube channel where they show people how to do kick-ups. There are athletes now that might not be the fastest, but because they do tutorials or because they do shoes unboxings, they get sponsored. So I think you have to go with the times and do what other people are doing, make funny TikToks, but also at the same time, training hard and putting, if you believe in yourself so much, putting it into your sport and performing, because once you perform, then they'll believe you. It's almost like proof of concept, isn't it? When it comes to business, like an investor will only invest if you've got proof of concept and you can show that, this product or service can sell. So it's the same in sport. If you can prove that you can go out there and win, sponsors will be happy to sponsor you to develop. So yeah, that's it. Only when I started winning and being a great athlete and I showed that I can do it, that sponsorship came along.
that's actually incredible. So it's one of those things you got to really, really strive for it. You got to really give it a good start, and you got to endure all of those labors. And it's one of those things that just follows in the end of it, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like a big leap of faith, but it sounds also that you were confident that you were going to get there. I realize I've also got this box again on my face.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
But okay,
It's
fine,
highlighting the
fine.
main stage.
I know, right? Technical issues, guys. I'm so
This is the
sorry.
guy you should be looking at.
But fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I think now we're nearly at the end. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so this is more of a serious question now. I would love to hear your insight, your advice to maybe those change makers out there as well. What can the world do to accommodate individuals that feel they're being excluded, and essentially the minority? So in your situation, you mentioned how you felt that you were one of the first people to have joined the Apprentice, being in your specific situation. And what do you think the world needs to do? I mean, I've noticed that there are things where the governments are producing quotas and things like that to make sure that there is a statistic that people can kind of keep themselves in check by. But I don't know, that doesn't feel like enough, does it? What else can the world really do right now? What are the most simplest implementations people can take to do
as
this?
you say, it's a two-part puzzle. It's both, legislation and having the doors there open and having people that are willing to help, but then it's also individual responsibility. It's also have to go and seize the moment. There might how do I say this, like, help is out there, and the ability is out there and the opportunities are out there. You have to have the individual opportunity to go and do it. You know, no one's going to hand it to you on a plate. Whether it's difficult or easy, it's there, you know. Same with school. Like, we all have an opportunity to study and, you know, and be students and be able to take that onto the workplace. But it's the ones that revise and sit down and do the work that inevitably prosper and get the A stars. So it's the same mindset, you know. If you feel like you've been discriminated against, that's one half of the story, but it's also your individual responsibility to say no to that and fight it and try and prove people wrong. You know, what was it, a couple of years ago, there was an Asian baker who won British Bake Off. Like, you know, she just came and blew it out of the water. There's women in hijabs now that box. You know, there's so many people that are changing the course of social mindset, and I think you have to take that on.
I agree. I think that's a really, really good statement. Okay. Now we're on to the final bit where it's going to be a quick fire round. So you've obviously had this before. I am going to have to make do with the situation that we have, which seems to be that I'm going to have this white box following me around everywhere. But hey,
it's okay. We're not judging.
But here we go. So I'm going to ask you a few things. You got to pick one or the other, and you got to do it as quick as possible. You cannot say in between or both. It has to be just one or the other. All right?
Sure. Sounds fun.
Okay. So let's just make sure this is perfect. I should also mention that I did not write all of these. So some of them are going to be as surprising to me as they will be to you. But jazz, pop, or hip hop?
Hip hop.
Train or bus?
Train.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Movie or series?
Movie.
Football or basketball?
Football.
PlayStation or Xbox?
Xbox.
Interesting. Marvel or DC?
I can't say neither. Marvel.
Ah, nice. Okay.
No, DC. Superman.
Oh, I have to ask, what was the quick change? Superman.
Because as much as I love Avengers, Superman's my favorite superhero, and obviously he's DC. So,
okay, fine. And lastly, winter or summer?
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Summer.
Okay, I'm gonna have a bonus one. Boxers or briefs?
No. Oh no, you know, someone was grilling me about that the other day.
No way.
Because I seem to always be a generation behind. When I was in primary school, everyone was wearing boxers, but I was still wearing like kiddie pants.
No.
And then when we moved on to this.
No, because I remember you now. It's funny because you mentioned this. I remember now when in the men's changing room, or the boys' changing room rather, when we were in Holyfield.
Yeah.
Those were the situations we had to deal with.
Some people were just a generation behind. And obviously, when everyone's moved on to briefs, I'm still on boxers. Boxers.
Yeah. All right, cool. Nice. Well, I would love to say that I'm so grateful and thankful for bearing with me on this podcast. I should mention that there are so many things behind the scenes. I'm probably going to have a quick reel showcasing some of the troubles and hurdles, the labors that we went through to get this working on the very first episode of this series.
Oh yeah, I see you, but I can also see a green square. There's a green square tracking your face, and I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Just laughing and crying at the same time. You didn't miss much.
I saw you. No.
Oh no.
Everything looks perfect. There's a green square.
It's getting me though. Hey.
It's super zoomed into your mouth. Everything was going so. Oh, it looked good then.
Okay, so we're getting closer.
You'll shortly be returning with a broadcast. Everybody, shake your hands up behind your heads. Okay, that looks fine. Should try that.
Okay. Yeah, this is behind the scenes, not of my nose, but of my.
Are we vlogging now?
Check out the menu. Oh my god, you're going to see me using the menu of the camera.
Display audio. Oh my god, this is sick. I think you've just blown my mind because I can't use DSLRs because I can't read the fucking goddamn menu. I have to get a separate magnifying glass. What?
Oh, face detect frame display. There we go. Oh,
Boom, shakalaka.
yeah. Oh, thank you. We not only solved like multiple problems, but I don't know.
I know you're not gonna like to hear this, but I can see all of your information. There you go. I think you've done it.
I feel like we've come to the end of the podcast already.
You've done it. I think you've done it. Oh wait, I'm not here.
Yeah, you're not here. You've not been here for a while. You've just been laughing at my pain, haven't you? Thank you.
I am excited. I am ready to go.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
Continue. I believe that I have a backup. Yeah, so it's now saying pause recording. No, pause start. Hold on. No, it's back.
Yeah, it's going to keep track of my face, isn't it? The silly little thing.
Yeah, maybe just not use portrait. I don't know.